friends drop in on Monday night.
Hello and welcome to the Warlock Hour presents NFL Pick'em Week 5. We'll get to the picks in just a moment. I want to thank this week's guests who are upcoming, Tyler and Adam. We have a football three-way going on. So I hope you enjoy the show. We'll be back with the picks after these messages. Attention, Sudbury football fans! Do you want to win a trip to Super Bowl 48? I know I do. Let me tell you how you can do that. Joe McDonald Youth Football League is holding a raffle. They are selling tickets to win a trip for the Super Bowl in New York City. That's Super Bowl 48. You can win 2 tickets for you and a friend. You would also get $500 spending money, transportation to and from, that's your flight there and back, plus a hotel stay for 3 nights at a 4-star hotel. How do you get these wonderful tickets? Well, you buy a raffle ticket. And how do you buy a raffle ticket? Well, you can go to one of many locations. For those locations, you can go to joemcdonaldfootball.com, or you can just listen to my next little bit. They are Beef and Bird. You can get them there. Cubit Portable Storage. Dr. M. Staffen New Sudbury Chiropractic. Eddie's Restaurant and Sports Bar. Kicks Hot New Country 91.7 FM. Lockerbie Confectionery. The Lounge 390 at the Quality Inn. New North Fuels. New Sudbury Shopping Mall at the Lottery Center, Nickel Belt Camping, Pro-Am Sportswear, and at the Rainbow Mall at the Lottery Center. And if this is not good enough for you, well, you can place your order by phone. That phone number to call for those raffle tickets, 705-524-2970. How much do these tickets cost, you ask? Well, the Joe McDonald Youth Football League is entering its 20th season. So why not make the tickets $20? And they did! Tickets, $20. You can get them now. Win your trip. Go to Super Bowl 48. Who knows who's playing? Looks like Denver Broncos maybe, but hey, you get to be there if they are. So win your trip to New York City and Super Bowl 48 by visiting joemcdonaldfootball.com and picking up your raffle tickets, because it goes for a great cause, and hey, you might win a trip to New York City. Alright, welcome back. We are with Tyler again this week, and also joining us is Adam. Say hello, guys.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Alright, so last week we all did pretty good. Now, Adam, you didn't make your picks here on the podcast. However, you did make picks, and we all did pretty darn good last week. So, let's look at last week's picks. First game we had was the 49ers and the Rams. Wow. Boy, were we wrong on the Rams.
Well, the 49ers decided to show up.
Yes, and this is one of the picks that I actually discussed before the show went on, that I had actually picked the 49ers initially. So, but I didn't.
I'm just convinced a guy like that.
Rams, yeah. They played like the Rams, and, well, the 49ers showed up. Like you said.
For once. That's the 49ers people have been looking for all season.
All right.
See, I had Kaepernick in fantasy, so I was really hoping that they would win, and I did pick them, so I'm happy.
All right, other games that were kind of like shocking, in my opinion, the Bengals losing to the Browns. The Browns look like a freaking team on fire right now.
I know, apparently
anytime the Browns win is a surprise.
Yeah, apparently the key to their success is dropping Trent Richardson. I don't understand how that made them better, but...
Well, okay, it's not just the dropping of Trent Richardson. That was huge in itself. They went with a quarterback that nobody had heard of. Half the people, all they knew was his last name because it's on his jersey. Like, I mean, this Brian Hoyer kid has been, like, on fire. He hasn't been, like, a great quarterback like the Peyton Mannings or the, you know, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady type quarterback, but he's been getting the job done. And to go against the Bengals and defeat them, and they won. Who did they beat last week? They beat. I can't even remember who they beat last week, but I mean they've won 2 in a row.
Yeah, they have.
The Bengals beat the Packers 34-30 last week.
Okay, there you go. 34-30 of the Packers. That was kind of a shootout. But then they also beat the Bengals the next week. Like, I mean, the Packers don't...
And even to score that many points against the Packers, you wouldn't expect that of Cleveland.
No,
I don't know. The Bengals beat the Packers.
No. Okay, who did the Browns beat, though?
Oh, the Browns?
Yeah, we're talking about the Browns.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Bengals. The Browns beat the Vikings 31-27.
Okay, well, the Vikings haven't been playing very well because they have a shitty quarterback, but, you know, although this past week, over in merry old London...
The Bengals went from beating Green Bay to losing to
the Browns. Yeah. Crazy. That division is so messed up.
It's not as messed up as the NFC East. Washington gets their first game and they're one win out of first place.
Yeah, that division is crazy. Now, the reason why you and I go 10-5, Tyler, is because we picked the Raiders. However, we did put that stipulation in that if Pryor did not play, we were picking Washington. Well, Pryor didn't play, and we picked Washington.
Played.
And Washington won. So that's why I'm counting that as a win for us, because we did specifically say, because we had no idea whether Pryor was going to play last week or not at the time we recorded. So Pryor didn't play. I
just want to point out the one game that does not surprise me at all. Broncos getting 52 points. Peyton Manning another 4 touchdowns.
He has 16 touchdowns, no picks. He's passed for like 1,400 yards, I think, already. It's crazy.
I think I heard the words undefeated season about 8 times when I was watching football on Sunday. Yeah.
Last week, I don't know if you listened to Adam, I had said, I'm not saying it's going to be an undefeated season, because you get to those last couple of weeks, and even if they're undefeated, you're going to start playing your backups to save yourselves for the playoffs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, if you get into the last weeks, you're 14-0, 15-0, you don't sit your starters. You go for 16-0.
You go for it?
You go for it.
You know what? I could see a team doing that. You know why? Because at that point, you are guaranteed that first round bye. You're going to have a week off anyways. If you do sit your starters for the entire game of week 17, that means you're basically giving them 2 weeks off. That's bad, and I think that's where teams kind of like lose it. Like maybe you sit them in the second half if you're ahead. Do you think that?
The way they've been playing,
maybe,
they would definitely
maybe a little
be
bit.
ahead.
Because I mean, they sat Peyton Manning for like in the third quarter of week 4.
Well, yeah.
They're like, Peyton, you've done enough. 16 touchdowns. Take a break, bro.
I mean, they've been so dominant, and it's not just been their offense. Their defense has been really good. They're one of the top defenses in the league. Not the top, but they're up there. And that's without like guys like Dumerville, who went over to Baltimore, and Von Miller, who's been suspended, and Champ Bailey, who's been injured. I mean, they're doing this like so well. It's they still have some tough games to come, and those are going to be the games that are going to be important. But man, putting up 52 this week against Philly,
it's not just that; it's the consistency of Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
to go out every week, average 4 touchdowns a game, and throw to every single different receiver. His offense is almost impossible to stop.
He hasn't had one interception yet either.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? No picks, 16 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah. And it's not like he's not throwing the ball; he's throwing 30+ times a game.
Exactly. It's crazy the amount of you look at anybody who's thrown the ball as much as he has, they have at least 1 pick, 2 picks minimum. Tony Romo, okay? He's the guy that I'm looking at right now. He's thrown the ball close to his amount as Manning, like his number of attempts. Now he only has 1,000 and change yards. Manning has over 1,400. But he has 8 touchdowns and 1 pick. So he has half the touchdowns, but he still has an interception. Now, that's pretty good for Tony Romo, which is why I'm using him, because he's usually an interception machine.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember that season where the Jaguars went to the playoffs? I think it was David Gerard was their quarterback that year. And he just turned over the ball like it was ridiculous. I think there was like 4 or 5 interceptions in that one playoff game.
Yeah.
Now there was an interception machine.
And then you look at a guy like Eli Manning. Eli Manning has thrown 9 interceptions so far and only 6 touchdowns. But he's also passed the ball for 1,148 yards.
Eli Manning needs to go home and take notes from his big brother.
Well, that reminds me of that meme I've seen online. You all seen it? It's so good. And then you throw the pick 6, right?
Yeah.
Oh, poor Eli. But yeah, you can't throw that many picks and hope to succeed. I mean, 0-4 now. Those poor Giants. The other game, Buffalo beating Baltimore. Now, in my CBS poll, I actually did go with the Bills. Last week on the podcast, I went against them. Shouldn't do that. You were totally right, Tyler. I commend you for picking Pittsburgh every week and watching them lose every week.
Well, my philosophy is never bet against your team. You don't necessarily have to bet on them, but never bet against them.
At least you don't have to watch them lose again this week because you've got the bye week.
Yeah, I know, I got the bye week. It's the first weekend I'm not crying myself to sleep on Sunday nights.
Yeah, unfortunately, Pittsburgh actually looked their best, but still lost the game. Yes! Sorry, guys. Hockey game's on. Had to cheer. So, Pittsburgh actually looked their best. Le'Veon Bell, first game playing, had 56 yards or 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's amazing. This is his first game playing. But they still lost. What was
amazing was Adrian Peterson, but that's
exactly. I mean,
Adrian Peterson and Greg Jennings for once.
You have to look at the fact that it was his first game. He's had no real practice time because he's been injured. He practiced all week, but most of it was limited. And he still comes into this game when they said they probably weren't going to play him until after the bye week. But damn, Pittsburgh needs a running game. Well, he's going to provide that. He's going to make Pittsburgh better. Now, where I saw the weaknesses, now I didn't watch the whole game because I wanted to watch the Buffalo game, of course. But what I've seen of it, where they look weak, is still their offensive line isn't very good. And their defense is not playing the way their defense normally plays.
No, the problem with their defense is they're still pretty solid. They gave up a couple big plays, which was bad. But the main weakness in their defense is they have no takeaways. Their defense is not generating the takeaways. They're forcing 3rd and longs, they're making good plays, but they are not getting any takeaways. So they're not getting off the field fast enough, and they're eventually wearing down.
Mm-hmm. I think it was something like what? They got 5, they stripped the ball, but they never recovered it. 5 times or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, there was one play where they stripped the ball on a strip sack, the ball rolled forward, all the Steelers guys missed, and the Vikings recovered for a first down.
Yeah, and then I know all about this because, I mean, being a fan of the Buffalo Bills, I've seen this, where the defense is solid, they make the plays, they stop them on 3rd down, they get off the field, yet they're not getting the takeaways. And when you're not getting the takeaways, you're not getting that advantage for your offense. Because 9 times out of 10, you're getting those takeaways in a position that puts your offense either on the field in great field position, or you're getting those takeaways in the red zone where you're stopping them from scoring, not even getting the 3 points that when you get in the red zone as an offense, you're expecting, okay, we're at least getting 3. And so I definitely know exactly what you're talking about. And, yeah, like I said, I didn't watch the game, so I didn't see everything, but that seems to me where they're weak, is the offensive line is not giving any time for offensive.
And you want to know why the offensive line is in trouble?
They're missing one of their head guys, aren't they? Is he injured?
Because they're missing
one
of the best centers in the NFL, Maurkice Pouncey.
Yeah, so, yeah, he went down first game, first series, didn't he go down or something like that? Or first quarter?
Second drive.
Yeah, first quarter. So, yeah, he went down early, and that game was it. It's hard to, people sometimes overlook the offensive line. They look at the quarterback. Quarterback gets a lot of the blame for a lot of times, whether it's good or bad. The quarterback won the game. Oh, the quarterback lost the game. Defense gets blamed, but the offensive line, you don't see a lot of that. This shows that the offensive line in Pittsburgh is definitely important, because without Roethlisberger, we know Roethlisberger's a big guy and he can sometimes break out of those tackles that try to dive in there, but at the same time, when you're not getting the time where that coverage is just swarming in on you. I mean, you're going to get sacked, you're going to throw balls away, you're going to get intercepted, you're going to get fumbles. It's just going to happen. It's just the way it is. And I mean, I've only seen a few plays, but in the few plays that I've seen way too many penalties on the offensive line as well.
Yeah, I know. It's really not a good situation in Pittsburgh. They got to figure out how to get together. The good news is their division's not that good, so there's still some statistical possibilities.
Mm-hmm. If you can turn it around, like we just said, they have a bye week this coming week. If they can take this week and work out some of those kinks, practice that offensive line, like seriously.
The bad news is we still have to play Green Bay, Detroit, and then Baltimore, and then Cincinnati again.
Well, Baltimore didn't look so hot against Buffalo, so you might be good there.
Yeah.
I mean, Baltimore's been a tale of two teams, though. I mean, they came out week one and they got blown out. I mean, they didn't get blown out by Buffalo, but they picked Buffalo, like, basically blew chances. Their first two drives, they kick field goals, right? Like, I mean, if one of those is a touchdown, maybe Buffalo does a little bit better. But you look at the fact that they intercepted Flacco 5 times. They caused a fumble. They played very well defensively. Like, Kiko Alonso, who's a freaking rookie, intercepted Flacco twice. Like, Baltimore should have probably lost that game a lot worse than they did.
I just want to point out that except for the bottom 3 and the top 3, all the teams you don't know who's going to show up.
You're probably right.
This year, particularly, it's been who's going to show up. Because, I mean, like teams like Green Bay, Cincinnati, Chicago, Buffalo, they'll have one great week, and then they'll just blow a game you think they'd win, so you kind of bet against them the next week, and bam, they come out of nowhere and win that game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ups and downs, except for the top 3 and the bottom 3, I would say.
Yeah, Jacksonville's going to lose pretty much every week.
Jacksonville is competing with the 0-16, just saying.
Yeah. So let's move over. We're going to get to a division that Mr. Adam knows very well, and his Chicago team losing to Detroit. That must have hurt.
A little bit. Yeah, I wasn't very happy with the game.
I picked Chicago.
Like old
that was one of the games that I got wrong was Chicago. I picked them over Detroit. Now,
yeah, so did I. I thought they were going to keep on going the way they've been playing, and I thought they had Detroit. That's a big divisional loss.
It is a big divisional loss, but again, in that division, you have a little bit of closeness, and they were 3-0 going in, were they not?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they are still tops in that division, but at the same time, you don't want to lose those divisional games. Like, I look at Buffalo, they lost 2 divisional games.
You're going to lose to someone from the other conference.
Exactly. Yes. But yeah, so you look at the NFC North, and you got the Lions and the Bears both at 3-1, and then the Packers 1-2. They had the bye week this week, and the Vikings at 1-3, who picked up their first win over in London. So it's weird. Some of these games, like last week was a horrible week as far as picks go. This past week here, I mean, we picked fairly well, but there were still some surprising things, as we said. One of the other games I wanted to mention was the Dallas game. We picked Dallas.
Are you sure? I thought I picked the Chargers.
Hang on, I want to double check. Did you pick the Chargers? Yes, you did. You picked the Chargers. Okay, I picked Dallas, but so did the entire CBS team.
I picked Dallas too.
There you go. And San Diego actually won.
Nice.
I know.
The only person you bet on worse than the Cowboys is the Jets. You never bet on these teams. Because they're teams that always
trust Phillip Rivers.
Yes, and that was my point.
Honestly, I would rather trust Phillip Rivers than Tony Romo, and I'm not a fan of either.
Yeah, it's hard to pick those games when you're just really not sure. One thing I wanted to go back to about the Detroit game. I did mention last week that if Reggie Bush plays, there was a good chance Detroit would win, and Reggie Bush played, and they won.
Oh yeah, did he ever play?
As Adam sat and watched and may have teared up a little.
Because he's not your traditional running back. He's a running back receiver. And I mean...
Yeah, but he still had 112 yards on the ground.
I know, and he probably had about 60
was...
yards receiving. Like, I mean, the guy is everywhere. He's a great third down guy. He can catch those passes out of the slot. He's not like a superb top tier running back when you think of like somebody like Adrian Peterson, but man, he knows how to freaking move the ball. He's got speed, he's got skills, but he's played on some really different teams. When he was in New Orleans, they were a great team, but they had so many players, especially so many running backs. He just didn't fit in their scheme. He went into Miami, he did fairly well there. Now he's in Detroit, and jeez.
Oh, he's doing very good in
Gets
Detroit.
The ball a lot. Like, if we were a PPR league, whoever has him would be, like, killing right now. Because, seriously, he gets the ball a lot. He gets, whether it's a carry or at a reception, he gets the ball so much. Alright, so that's last week's games. Let's go and do our picks for this week's games. So, first up, Thursday night game. The Buffalo Bills travel to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns. Who you got?
You know what? I'm naming this I'm going to go with upset. I'm going to call it an upset one. I'm going Browns, baby. Let's go Hoyer. What you got?
Adam?
I picked the Bills for this one. I think EJ Manuel is going to bounce back in this game.
Nope, y'all going to the dog pound. Let's go Browns.
And I'm going Bills as well. I did it last week. I went against them. Stupid move. The Bills were at home. I should have picked them. I'm not doing it again this week. I know they're in Cleveland, and I know Cleveland has won 2 straight, but they haven't faced a defense like the Buffalo Bills yet. Now, you would expect the Green Bay or who did we say they beat? They beat the Cincinnati defense, and they beat Minnesota. You would expect the Cincinnati defense at least to give them trouble, but Cincinnati's defense hasn't looked great this year. Buffalo's has. So I'm picking that Buffalo defense more than I'm picking the offense. Although they do have some weapons. Robert Woods looked really good this past week. EJ Manuel still has a lot of learning to do, but still, he's only played 4 games. So I am picking the Bills. And I also want to point out our leader of our NFL pick'em that started last week, which was like 3 weeks late. James, he's also picked the Bills this week, so.
I'm sticking with the Browns. Welcome to the dog pound.
Hey, I want to say something about that. And I every time I see a commercial, I'm like, yeah, but I remember a time when Cleveland didn't exist. Like, as far as an NFL team. They didn't have a team for quite some time. Every year, the Buffalo Bills would have a Cleveland Browns Day. And they would have like a whole section dedicated to the quote-unquote dog pound. So this is always a game I look forward to every year because there are, which is weird, there are crossover in fan bases here. So it's going to be a good game, I think. Well, as good as a Thursday night game can be, and Thursday night games are always a little bit lackluster. Okay, so let's move on to the 1 o'clock Sunday games. We got the Patriots at the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm going Patriots. Tom Brady looked pretty good.
You're going with the Bengals?
You're betting against Tom Brady.
Wow! Yes. After the Bengals lost to the Browns even?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm agreeing with Tyler and James. I gotta go with the Patriots. I hate choosing the Patriots, and I would love to see them lose these games outside the division, simply because they won against the Bills in week 1. But the way the Bengals lost to the Browns, you have Tom Brady going in there, and even with the fact that these rookie wide receivers are not great, they're still winning games, and their 3-headed monster running system seems to be working there. So,
not to mention they're expecting Amendola and Gronkowski back for next week.
I actually just read Gronkowski's not back till week 6.
Oh, really?
So he's not expecting to play till week 6. So Gronk won't be back. There's a good chance that Amendola will be, and if he is, that even makes it more in favor of the Patriots, in my opinion. Okay, divisional matchup. Lions taking on the Packers.
I'm going with Packers at home. after coming off the bye week with a must-win game, I think the Packers are going to reunite, get back together, and come up with a win over the Lions.
Adam?
I'm picking the Lions in this one.
Really?
They looked really good against the Bears last week, which I was sad about, and the Packers really haven't been that impressive this year.
I agree with you on both counts. The Lions looked really good against the Bears, and the Packers have not been great, as great as they have. But here's the thing. I gotta go with the Packers at home. The Packers at home are very good. Now, I mean, a lot of teams are supposed to be good at home. That's why a lot of people say most teams should at least be 8-8, because you're supposed to win all those home games. Now, it doesn't happen. We know that doesn't happen. But you're supposed to be good at home. Now, the Packers are coming off a bye week, and they're coming off a big loss to the Bengals. Aaron Rodgers is too good, in my opinion, to lose this game. The Lions are a good team. As I've said already on this podcast, on the last two with Tyler, I really like Reggie Bush. In this offense, he's so great, and he eventually is going to make Calvin Johnson even better. Why? Because they're going to be focusing on Reggie Bush, and then all of a sudden Stafford's going to throw it up, and Johnson's going to be wide open. So this offense is very good. But the Packers need this win more than anything. And honestly, as a Bears fan, I would have thought you'd be picking against them, or at least rooting against the Lions, because you need the Lions to lose here to help you gain some ground.
I would be happy if I'm wrong. I think the Lions are going to win, but if I'm wrong, I'm completely happy about it, because then they're both a little lower on the ranks, at least if the Bears win next week.
All right, well, we'll get to the Bears later. But
yeah, we'll get to that after.
But yes, I can see that. But all right, you're going with the Lions. Well, I'm picking the Packers, as is James going with the Packers. So we got 3 Packers and 1 Lions choice here. Moving on, and this was a tough one for me to decide, especially after this past week's games, but the Seahawks at the Colts. I went with the Seahawks.
You went with the Seahawks.
I did.
Colts?
As did James.
You know what?
James.
I'm going Indy at home.
You're going with the Colts. All right.
I'm going with the Colts.
Here's my reasoning for the Seahawks. You went Seahawks? All right. So here's my reasoning for the Seahawks. They did not look great against the Texans. However, they did manage to make that big comeback, proving that they can still come back even if they're down. I love the Seahawks offense. Their quarterback's not the greatest in my opinion. I still am not sold on Russell Wilson, but he gets the job done. The key factor for me is Marshawn Lynch. And while I think the Colts are a very good team, they've got a very decent offense. Their defense is nothing to laugh at. And they've proved before that they could go into a place, San Francisco, and win. But it was really tough for me to decide. I actually wrote in Colts, and then I'm like, but how can you go against the Seahawks? So, honestly, right now, the only reason I'm picking the Seahawks is that they're 4-0, and the Colts are not.
Yeah, but I like the Colts at home. Andrew Luck's been playing good. Their running game is very good right now. I just like the Colts at home.
And, I can't take anything. I would not be surprised if the Colts win. This is one where I'm picking, and if I'm wrong, okay, that's fine. But as I said, I just can't go against the Seahawks right now. Until they've really lost a game and proven that they can't continue what they've done so far, I think what I think helps the Seahawks here is they're in a dome. I think that actually plays to not their advantage, so to say, but if they were going into another field where they're playing outside, I think that hurts them a little bit more. Even though they have an outside stadium, their stadium is one of the loudest to play in, and when they're at home, they're almost unbeatable. Because the crowd is so against the opposing quarterbacks. You could be very well right, Tyler, but I had to go with the Seahawks.
Understandable. They are a good team. It's going to be a very good game.
Oh, yeah. All right. Adam, Ravens at the Dolphins. Who you got?
I picked the Ravens, actually.
Really?
I think Flacco's going to come back after his game with the 5 interceptions. And he's going to have to prove that he is worth the contract that he took from the Ravens.
Okay. What you got, Tyler?
I got Ravens as well.
Wow.
I don't think Harbaugh's going to let 2 games slide like that. And the game against New Orleans showed a lot of holes for the Miami defense.
See, okay, you know what? You can't compare the Ravens defense to the New Orleans defense. The Ravens offense to the New Orleans offense, in my opinion. Whether or not it exposed holes is debatable. I mean, obviously there's some stuff there, but look how much Drew Brees spread that ball around. I don't think the Ravens have that option. You want to hear a stat that's startling against the Bills? The Ravens ran the ball a grand total of 9 times the entire game. 9 times for 27 yards against the Buffalo Bills, who are prolific for giving up 100-yard rushers every single week. 27 yards was the entire total rushing for the Ravens, and they only ran it 9 times. Like, that's insane.
Especially with the way Flacco was playing, I don't see why they didn't start running the ball afterwards. But
did they fear Ray Rice getting re-hurt? Maybe. But they had Bernard Pierce, who had a decent game the week before. Bernard Pierce could have rushed for 100 yards against the Buffalo Bills, and I wouldn't have been surprised about it. But they didn't do it, and I think... I see your point. I don't think Harbaugh is the type of coach that's going to let this team lose 2 in a row, but I had to go with the Dolphins. The Dolphins have looked really good this year, and yes, they lost to the Saints, but I think everybody expected them to, except for maybe the Dolphins and the Dolphins fans. I did not see Dolphins going into New Orleans and winning that game. Now, had New Orleans gone to Miami, maybe things would have been a little different, a little closer, but I had to go with the Dolphins this week, and James agreed with me. He went with the Dolphins as well. Don't know his reasoning, but I think the Dolphins at home against a Ravens team that has now had to play 2 road games in the AFC East, the first against the Buffalo Bills, losing that one, and then turning the ball over 5 times, not rushing it like they should, Flacco being intercepted 5 times. He's not going to play like that every week, I get that. But Tannehill's looked really good. Yes! Sorry, another goal for Toronto. Flacco hasn't looked great, and the Ravens are, 2-2?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's leading that division. Their point differential is 4. They've given up 87 points, only scored 91. So, I think that they're going to go into Miami, and Miami's going to look like the Miami team they did in the first 3 weeks, as opposed to the Miami team that was playing last night on Monday Night Football, which will actually be 2 nights ago by the time this podcast airs, or 3 nights ago. But we're pretty split on this one. You guys got the Ravens, me and James picked the Dolphins. At least we got some difference this week. Man, me and you last week, Tyler, we had barely anything.
Last week it was like, I'm picking this team and that's why. And the other person's like, you know what? I did some good reasoning. I picked them too.
Exactly, and that's why my picks changed in the podcast as to what I actually picked. So it's just like, should have stuck with my actual ones. I would have done better. Alright, so the next game, big one for Adam, so we'll let him go first. Saints going into Chicago to take on those Bears.
I actually picked the Saints.
What is with you people? Who doesn't pick their team?
I'm sorry.
Pittsburgh's in a bye week, and I picked Pittsburgh to win this week. Just saying. By the way, Adam,
I would say Pittsburgh's not going to lose this week.
I got the Saints as well, man. Drew Brees is on fire. Sean Payton has looked like his old self. I got Saints going in against the Bears.
The Saints are on a mission this year. They're proving that not having Payton there as their coach last year was detrimental to that team. What did they finish? Like 8-8? Or 9-7 or something like that? It was not great. This year, they're 4-0. They're looking like the team of that won the Super Bowl, to be honest with you. And that's scary for the NFC. But, I'm looking forward to a Saints-Seahawks matchup. Man, that's going to be good. But right now the Saints are the team to beat because the Seahawks, while they are also 4-0, did show weaknesses against Texas. I think Texas's problem last week was that they didn't perform offensively as well as they should have. And then they kind of blew it up defensively, like giving up some big plays and taking some penalties at inopportune times. But in this game here, the Saints are going to win. And after last week and picking the Ravens and the Bills winning, dude, all I can say is maybe you should pick against your team and watch them win.
Just wait. Did you guys both go Saints?
Yes, we did.
Okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm changing my pick.
You're gonna go with the Bears?
I'm going with the Bears, baby. Just to rub it in Adam's face when the Bears make a home stand against New Orleans. You're not allowed to change your pick now.
I wouldn't be mad. I would not.
I'm going
be mad
Bears.
At all.
All right, you go Bears. All right, and James also went with the Saints, so we have a 3-1 vote for the Saints at the moment. All right, so let's move on to another 1:00 start. Eagles at the Giants.
You know what? I'm going Giants. They're at home. They gotta win eventually. There's no way the Giants are going 0-16, and Philadelphia hasn't done anything since week 1. I'm going with the Giants.
Well, James went with the Eagles, I'll tell you that. Adam, who you got?
I went with the Eagles.
Well, this one's split then, because I'm picking the Giants for basically the exact same reasons Tyler just said. The Giants are at home.
Have to win eventually.
Eagles offense, I'm sorry, Chip Kelly, it's not working. It worked in the first game. Don't get me wrong, it looked awesome. But a lot of analysts have said this. That offense cannot and will not work all year because of the team that you have. And it's been proven the last 2 weeks. I gotta go with the Giants. They gotta win eventually, and why not win it at home against a divisional opponent and make that division even more colluded.
Yeah.
Or convoluted. That's the word. Not colluded. Convoluted.
The winner of that division will be lucky to be 8-8. I'm just saying right now. We may have a repeat of when the Seahawks made it with the 7-9 record.
We could. Oh boy, that would be funny.
And then best of luck to whoever they end up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It'll be like a bye week for whoever gets them in the first round.
I wouldn't say that. You never know. Those Giants have proven that if they can come back and win this division with a 7-9 record, that they can go on the road and win 3 games in a row and win the Super Bowl. So, yeah.
I would love to see a team with a losing record in the regular season win the Super Bowl. Because we have seen 8-8 teams do it.
Yeah, we have. So, Adam, why are you picking the Eagles?
I just think they need to win.
Do you think
so? So did the Giants, but I don't think the Giants are gonna do it. I have no faith in Eli.
Okay, that's a good point. I mean, as we said earlier, he's thrown 9 picks already and only 6 touchdowns. And I will say this to your point too: the New York Giants are one of the most scored upon teams in the league. They're not the most, but they've given up 146 points. And only have scored 61. That's a point differential of 85. Actually, I think they are the most scored upon the team. I think their point differential is not as high as some other teams. They are the most scored upon.
The Jaguars are averaging like 3 points a game.
31, yeah. So they've given up the most points in the league. So I can see what you're saying. But the second most points given up in the league? Philadelphia. So it really could be a crapshoot. At this point, I still got to go with the Giants. So they've got to win a game. I agree with Tyler wholeheartedly here, and why not do it at home? All right, next game on the sched is the Chiefs at the Titans, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going with those 4-0 Chiefs to go 5-0.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs.
Yeah.
I like the Titans this year. I like what they've done, but I bet against Kansas City once. They slapped her in the
Philadelphia
face.
game, eh?
And I'm just liking what the Chiefs are doing. They can run, they can throw. Alex Smith is not making very many mistakes. That'll be a very good game.
Okay.
Now, if you had told me last year that Tennessee versus Kansas City, who would have been 4-0 and 3-1 respectively, would be one of the best games to watch at 1:00, I would have told you you're crazy and you're smoking something.
Yeah, exactly. Now, here's the thing about the Titans. They are 3-1, but they just lost their quarterback for 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Their starting quarterback this coming week against the Kansas City Chiefs, I know very well. Ryan Fitzpatrick will be starting for the Tennessee Titans this week, former Buffalo Bill, cut by the Bills this past offseason after drafting E.J. Manuel and Jeff Toole. So, as much as Tennessee has CJ2K,
I just want to say, Tennessee is lucky that it's Fitzpatrick and not Grossman they're starting.
I don't think any team would start Grossman. I think he's there. I don't know why he's on a team. I mean, who would really start him? I guess if you really had to?
The Bears.
Even now, though, do you think they'd start him over their...
No, now they wouldn't.
Backup in Chicago anyways.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that was their best guy 4 or 5 years ago.
Sad.
Yeah.
No, what's sad is he went to the Super Bowl.
But the Chiefs' defense is gonna, they're gonna swarm Fitzpatrick. I know how Fitzpatrick plays being a Buffalo Bills fan. Watching him just a year ago, he's gonna get sacked, he's gonna throw picks, he's a dink and dunk passer. The Chiefs are gonna love this game. There's no way the Chiefs aren't 5-0 after this week. Next game on the schedule, I think, is going to be pretty much a sweep all the way around. Even though they lost this week, the Rams are at home taking on the lowly Jacksonville Jaguars. Please tell me nobody's picking Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm going Rams.
I went Rams as well.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no reason to pick the Jaguars at all for this entire season.
And you're right. Even if they don't go 0-16, the chances of you being wrong picking against the Jaguars are 1-16. It's so low. It's crazy. I'm sorry, Jacksonville. I think you're getting the number 1 pick next year because even the Browns can't do that. The Rams didn't look like the Rams team they did the previous week this week. They were playing a tougher opponent. They lost to San Francisco, which is, a lot of teams lose to San Francisco. I just don't see any team, literally, even the 0-4 Giants, losing to Jacksonville. I don't even see the very troubled Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing to Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is definitely going to make a run at Detroit's 0-16 season. They're just that bad. Alright, so moving on to the 2 4 o'clock games. The Panthers taking on the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. Who you got?
I got Cards.
You got Cardinals?
I have Cards as well.
And the only reason is just they're at home, and I don't think either team is that great.
Yeah, okay. I have the same reasoning, more or less, as like a coin flip, pretty much.
Well, James picked the Panthers, I'll tell you that, and so did I. I went with the Panthers for this reason. The Panthers, you're right, both teams don't look great. However, the Panthers still have Cam Newton, D'Angelo Williams, and Steve Smith. And while they're not the same players that they were a couple of years ago, or even last year, I think the Panthers are a better all-around team right now than the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals did beat the Buccaneers last week, but the Buccaneers, other than Doug Martin, there was nothing on that team. I don't even know the quarterback in Tampa right now, because Josh Freeman, not only is he benched, he's the third-string guy, and he's asked for his outright release this week. He doesn't want
Really?
Yeah, he's asked for his outright release. It was leaked that he had entered a rehabilitation program for substance abuse, and that was something the NFLPA said should not have come out. That was a personal thing, and they've cleared Schiano, and Schiano and Freeman have not seen eye to eye since Schiano's been hired by Tampa Bay. I think if they don't outright release him, they might as well just send him home with pay, because there's no way he's playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at any time in the next future. So I think Arizona beat a team that was very beatable. I think the Panthers are a little bit better, so I'm going with the Panthers. I'm not going to knock your Cardinals pick, because in this game, home field advantage could be the deciding factor, really.
And come on, the Cardinals have Larry Fitz. Eventually he's going to do something.
They do.
You can't just shut him down every game, all game.
No, you're right, and that's why I said it is pretty much a coin flip. Like, you literally could flip a coin, and the coin could be just as right as we are. But I am going with the Panthers because I do think they have more weapons offensively, and I think both teams are pretty much equal in my mind defensively. So let's move on to another section where I think there's going to be a complete sweep on who's going to win, and that's the Broncos in Dallas taking on the Cowboys.
Oh, come on, Cowboys all the way. Like,
you stole my joke. I was going to make that same joke. Yeah, I'm going Broncos. Yeah. I want to see Peyton Manning slap Romo around and show him what a real quarterback looks like.
This game could easily be another 50-point game for the Broncos. The Cowboys, I'm sorry. As long as Tony Romo is your quarterback, I really have a hard time picking you, even though I did pick you last week against San Diego. Now, I will say this about Tony Romo. As a fantasy player, he's damn good. But as an actual football player, he can't win the big games. I see Dallas dropping to 2-3 this week. I see Denver going to 5-0. Which makes 2 5-0 teams in the AFC West if we're right on our predictions so far. Because we all picked Kansas City to win. We all picked Denver to win. That division could be the key division in the AFC.
Yeah.
Even with the Patriots going 5-0 over in the AFC East, they haven't played a tough team yet. Although according to Adam, the Bengals are going to win, but you know. So let's move on to the 8:30 game, Sunday Nighter. Well, I guess we can't really call it the Sunday Nighter because of the stupid freaking baseball. Anyways, the Texans at the 49ers. I got the 49ers in this one. They showed me they are back. Colin Kaepernick was really good last week. I'm not betting against them 2 weeks in a row. I got the 49ers.
Honestly, Houston does not look as good as they did last year. Andre Johnson has not...
that game against Seattle, and that, to me, says there is problems there.
There are problems there. Arian Foster's not putting up the numbers he did last year. Mm-hmm. Andre Johnson is not even getting the receptions anywhere near he should be getting. He hasn't been making any of the big explosive plays he was making last year. I don't know what's going on in Texas this year, but I'm going 49ers this game, especially at home.
I picked the Texans in this game because I think the Texans' defense has they're ranked number 1 in pass defense, I'm pretty sure, and I don't think Kaepernick is that great of a quarterback.
Okay, I got 2 words for you. Frank Gore.
That's true. That was my other point. I think it was they're 23rd in rush defense, so if they're going to win this game, it's going to have to be on the ground, not in the air.
But see, Kaepernick can run that read option. He can run the ball. He can scramble. And when you scramble, I'm not going to discount Texans' defense. I mean, I love J.J. Watt. Or as Tyler said a couple of weeks ago, J.J. Watt!
By the way, he should be mic'd every week. I saw the NFL mic'd up.
Oh, I know.
He was the best person I've ever seen.
He always is. But, that's great you're picking the Texans. Here's my 2 reasons why that you shouldn't pick the Texans. Frank Gore was one of them. The other reason, they are in San Francisco. And that to me plays a big factor when I pick teams. If I even think they're close, I'm going to try and go with the homer team because they do have that home field advantage. And good point. Last week, Texans were up, I think it was 20-7 or 21-7, and they lost the game in overtime. I think it was 17 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they fell apart.
They fell apart, exactly. And I think the 49ers could do the exact... Even if Texans get out to a good start, I think the 49ers are definitely capable of coming back on that team. Okay, let's go on to the real Sunday night game, thanks to baseball. The baseball playoffs on Saturday have a late game. And the Oakland Athletics are playing in the baseball playoffs for the first time in a while.
I have one question. Why does baseball supersede football?
Because they play in the same stadium.
I know.
And it takes 24 hours.
Precedence.
It takes 24 hours to change the stadium around. The Oakland Athletics have home field advantage, and kudos to them because I actually picked them to win that series. just because I love the whole Moneyball aspect of the team. Billy Bean's still there. I would love to see a low market team win the World Series. I don't follow baseball as much as I used to, and especially now that football and hockey season are starting, baseball takes like the back burner that you can find. But I did pick Oakland to win the series simply because I got to cheer for the underdog, and I think they're classified as an underdog. Now here's the thing: their stadium, to convert it from a football stadium to a baseball stadium, or from a baseball stadium to a football stadium, because of the way the seating is, takes almost 24 hours to do. So the Chargers at the Raiders, was supposed to be a 4:25 start. However, because the Oakland Athletics play in the evening the night before, it's going to take them till like 8, 9 o'clock before the stadium's even ready to open to get people in. So they had to push the start back to an 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start, which is still okay on the West Coast. I mean, it's an 8:30 start, technically. And that's just like a normal Sunday nighter for the East Coast. But on the East Coast, we're starting that game at 11:30. That means it's not going to be done until 3 a.m. almost. That's crazy. But anyways, the Chargers at the Raiders, remembering that Terrell Pryor is very questionable to be playing this coming week. He had setbacks with his concussion syndromes and did not play against Washington and is looking unlikely to play against San Diego. I got the Chargers simply on that reason alone.
I got the Raiders because I hate the Chargers.
I have the Chargers. I think they're going to just...
Flynn possibly starting?
Doesn't matter who's starting. I hate the Chargers. Go Raiders.
And you got the Chargers, you said, Adam?
Yeah, I think they're just going to march up and down the field.
Yeah, I mean, I know you don't like the Chargers, Tyler, but Phillip Rivers has thrown the ball a lot. He's not looked great, but when you have no offense from the Raiders, and that's what I think they're going to put up. Darren McFadden is banged up. Terrell Pryor's probably not going to play. Now, if Terrell Pryor plays, I think I could give an edge to the Raiders, but it's looking very unlikely that he's going to play again this week. I think, I may be wrong, but I think the Raiders have a bye week coming up soon, and he may not even play till after that. So, it depends on if it's soon. If it's not soon, then maybe he does get back in there in a week or two. But as long as he's out, my betting on the Raiders is not in. Which leaves the Monday nighter. The New York Jets taking on the Atlanta Falcons.
Go Falcons.
I also picked the Falcons.
And so did myself and James pick the Falcons. The Falcons are at home. The Jets are the Jets. Geno Smith has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns.
That seems to be very common lately.
He started the season good in that first game. He didn't, even though they won against the Bills, it could have easily gone the other way. He didn't look prolific. The Bills kind of made him look prolific at times, simply because they were throwing against a cornerback who should not be playing maybe in the NFL. But Geno Smith has not looked good in the last week. He's thrown 4 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, been sacked 14 times. I think the San Diego Chargers, while their defense is not what it used to be, is still good enough to stop Geno Smith. And their offense, well, Phillip Rivers has almost 1,200 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, only 2 picks, and he's only been sacked 6 times. Now, unfortunately for him, those 2 picks were both pick sixes, but still, he's only thrown 2 where Geno has thrown 8. So, I had to go with the Chargers. And I understand when you hate a team, I hate picking the Patriots, but when it comes to picks, I gotta go by statistics.
Weren't we talking about Falcon Jets, though? How do you pick the Chargers?
Or, sorry, the Falcons.
I was, confused for a second there.
Okay, then I was looking at the wrong stats, wasn't I? Yeah, Matt Ryan. There we go. He's thrown 8 TDs and 3 picks. I don't know what I was thinking then.
I was like, why is he talking about Phillip Rivers?
He did that earlier too with Josh Freeman. Why were you talking about Josh Freeman?
Oh no, that was right when I was talking about Josh Freeman.
No, that was the Panthers-Cardinals game. Tampa Bay's on a bye.
Yeah, because I was talking about the Cardinals when they played Tampa Bay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I got that one right. This one I definitely got wrong. Way wrong.
I'm just going to put the scotch back in the cabinet and wait till after we're done.
Okay, so let me restate my case, because I'm still picking the Falcons.
I think everyone's picking the Falcons. No one likes to bet on the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets have not looked good.
Betting on the Jets is like going all in with a 7-2 poker hand, being like, I could get lucky.
Like, I know the Jets are 2-2, but their offense is not great. Their defense
is not great. Their coaching's not great. Okay. Everything's not great.
Yeah, but you got to feel for Rex Ryan losing his was it his father or his grandfather this past week? So
true.
And
by the way,
yeah,
I'm not a fan of either of the Ryans, and I was very disappointed to find out that the other Ryan is now with one of my favorite teams, the Saints.
Really, Saints, yeah. You know what though? He's a good defensive coordinator.
No, he's not.
He's done pretty good.
That's just he has Sean Payton. Doesn't matter who's the defensive coordinator.
Well, I know. I think you're right. Sean Payton really runs that team, but he calls the plays when they're on the sidelines. Payton calls the offense. So, do they even have an offensive coordinator in New Orleans?
I'm not sure.
I don't even if they do, what does the guy do? Literally, if they do, he must be the guy that sits up in the booth and just sends the pictures down to Breeze. Because seriously, Peyton calls all the offensive plays, or Breeze does. Like, it's between the two of them that what happens on the field. So
you could come up with a list of plays that they're going to be probably calling, like a short list kind of thing. Like, if we're going for a run, here's a list of runs we've been practicing that we should go with based on what kind of defenses they're running. And then Sean Payton will go, okay, let's go with this run, and then something like that. But
maybe.
I honestly have no idea how it works.
All right. So that's it for this week. We have made our picks for the Week 5 matchups. Who is on the bye this week, by the way?
Pittsburgh,
Steelers
Tampa Bay.
Is that it? Just the two?
Minnesota, I think.
Yes,
so there
Minnesota.
Should be 4 teams on the bye if there's also Minnesota.
We're missing one other team. I don't know who it is.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to go to regular season schedule and see if I can figure it out. Because I like to know who's on the bye. That was week 4, and my cat's attacking my foot. No, I want to see week 5. Come on. So, we have Minnesota. I just said that like a Minnesotian. Minnesota. The Buccaneers, the Steelers, and the Redskins are the other team on a bye this week. So, and I think for the next few weeks, I think it's 4 teams that are on a bye. I know my team doesn't have a bye till week 12. So, yeah.
I think Bears are 7 or 6, I don't remember.
Yeah, so that's the only one I know, like, right off the top of my head, and that's because they're my team, so I follow them. But, yeah, so 4 teams on a bye this week, so we have less games that we can get wrong. So instead of picking 16 games, we're only picking 14 games. So... But that is it for this week. Thank you both for doing it. It's awesome that we could get
to be here.
It's my pleasure. It's always fun.
Yeah, little
especially
three-way action.
I'm always in first for the pits, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm happy with my pits this week. Besides,
you're tied though.
Yeah, we tied last week.
Yeah, I know, but I won the week.
Yeah, you won the week before.
So technically, I'm ahead by 1.
Technically, I should have beat you if I went with my initial choices.
Besides, one of us has to pick the upset games or just the random games.
See, but if I was on the podcast that week, I would have won because I was 9 and 7
sadly,
that
Adam,
week when you were 8 and 8.
You were not.
No, I was not.
So we're gonna play the little. We're gonna
I
play
have
the
proof on the NFL league. So
we're gonna play the little violin because you weren't cool enough to be on the first broadcast. We're glad to have you now.
Headset. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's good that you got a headset now. We can do more things like this as we go forward because, you know, I'm definitely enjoying this pick segment. I was so happy when somebody said that they were going to do it. So thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Adam, for joining us this week.
No problem.
And, that's a wrap.
By the way, if the Bears win, I will laugh at you. for not picking your team.
I'll be happy.
And you know what? I'm just going to go out on a limb and say for the next 13 weeks, this is week 5, sorry. For the next 12 weeks, I will be picking the Steelers, and I will eventually be right.
Yeah, probably at least once or twice.
At least. I mean, even a broken claw, it's right twice a day.
Exactly. But I think I'm going to stick with the Bills the rest of the way. I got snake bitten last week. I should have picked them. In fact, in other pick'em leagues and pick'em stuff that I do, I did pick them. So should have went with them on the podcast. I didn't, and this week I'm not going against them, even though they're playing in Cleveland as opposed to at home. So that's a wrap for this week. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Adam.
No problem. Thank you, Ray, for letting us join you.
Absolutely.
And remember, kids, go Steelers.
Go Bills.
Go Bears. Bears.
Way to say it with some enthusiasm.
Thanks for listening to Another Podcast from anotherpodcast.com. Don't forget to go on iTunes and or download right from anotherpodcast.com. That's EHNOTHER podcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Another Podcast. Be sure to check back for tomorrow's show only on Another Podcast, your Canadian podcast network. Anotherpodcast.com. Not a sponsor.